the sweet life, rolling in sunshine, rocking the good time with all our friends. Easy and carefree, out in the summer breeze, loving the simple things for hours on end. Right about sundown, we lay on the ground, count on the stars as they come out one at a time. Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey everybody, I'm X Factor winner Tate Stevens, and welcome to the Sweet Life Podcast, where we talk about everything from music, sports, food, entertainment, and, well, just living the sweet life. Hey everybody, it's me, Tate Stevens, and as always, AJ Crunk.
Yeah, buddy, I don't have a monster.
So we're on the road tonight, coming home from Nebraska. So this is a live, we're doing this on the road, like flying down the highway, snowing like
That's
mad,
right.
trying to get back before something bad happens. And anyway, we were up here in Kearney, Nebraska, having doing a little showcase thing. So we got everybody on the bus. Well, Angie's not; she's the only one that's not on the bus. So
It's a lack of dedication there.
It is lack of dedication. I agree. I think there is some. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that, discuss that in her next review.
Yeah, we may have to
her quarterly review.
We may have to. What do you? Jeez, this is a disaster.
Yeah, it's already started. It already started, man.
We may have to surprise. We may have to do a surprise you're on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So anyway, we got everybody here. We got the man Ken driving us home.
Yeah, cheers to Ken.
Yeah. So we'll talk to the guys here in a minute. Summertime shows, this is what we do. Like, we go out, do these showcases, pick up a bunch of fair dates, stuff like that.
That's right.
That's how we get some of our work.
Absolutely.
And it's just a good way to get work. So we left it at
4 a.m.
Like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
We were on the road by 4 a.m. We'll be home. We should be home by midnight or a little before.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's going to be a long day, obviously, but you do what you got to do.
That's right.
When you love playing music like we do,
love it.
Just love it. That's what we do, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So one of our listeners he listens to every podcast we've done. I think he's got a few favorites. We'll talk about those in a little bit. But he's listened to all our podcasts. He is one of our stream guys that stream our podcast every week.
Absolutely.
And he'll give us a little intel here and there, like, hey, man, I think you could do this. Maybe you talk about that, or, like that. That was cool. That was a good one. And he gave us a little constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he when he was like, I listen to it every week, and I listen to you on 1.75 speed.
Oh.
Because we're slow talkers, apparently.
Apparently, we're some slow talkers, and we need to speed it up just a little bit.
Yeah, so, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to try to talk. I didn't think I was a slow talker. I didn't know. I never knew I was a slow talker.
Yeah.
I know people who talk way slower than I do.
Yes.
So much slower than I do. They'd have to put them on like 3 to listen to them, folks. If I'm on 1.75, they'd be on like 3.
Put it on 3.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's going to be a good one. This is going to be a fun one. We got all the guys here, and we're going to start. Actually, you know what?
Speak of the devil.
Let's start with Lance.
Yeah.
Lance. Come on, get over here. Sit over there by AJ.
Come on
over there by AJ. Yeah, all right.
That's right.
Here we go. Lance. Here we go. Hey. All right, so Lance Pollard, a year ago.
Sit on down, sir.
Husband of one. That's not how it goes, dude. You have a wife. Anyway.
You have a wife.
Yeah. Oh, I said it on the microphone. I don't care. We're gonna share. We'll share mics. I know we're short mic. I don't know. I don't know what to do with my hands. So anyway, about a year ago, I putting a band together for summer shows, and my old sound man, Rob Harmon, who's out with Craig Morgan right now, doing that thing, called me and said, "Man, I got a drummer for you. You need a drummer? I got one." I'm like, okay, who is it? And he was like, man, Lance Pollard. Didn't even know the guy played drums,
No.
Singer, and he sings, and I'm like, that's all I knew.
Dances.
And so he dances.
Plays drums.
He dances, plays drums. So he's kind of a triple threat guy.
Stomps the yard.
So Lance, take us back. You were a little kid. When did you start playing? When did you know you wanted to play drums or instruments or sing or whatever? How'd that all come about?
So let's see. I was 16, 17 years old.
All right.
One of my buddies, Jim, played in church, right? Gospel songs, hymns, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, come from a musical family, grandparents, great-grandparents, mom, sister, dad, the whole deal. And they all had a talent, like piano, whatever. And I was like, well, I want a talent. So I started in piano, and that was boring. So
For all you piano players out there.
Yeah, sorry. I mowed a bunch of lawns.
Mowed a bunch of lawns.
That's even more boring than playing piano.
I mean, damn, I think I'd have been playing piano, not mowing lawns. I don't know.
Saved up my money and saved up my money and bought my first drum set. And
Do you remember what kind of drum set it was?
it was a dark blue Royce.
Royce.
Yeah, and it matched my first car, which was a Plymouth Reliant K. I had
Hey.
I had 18s and 20 subwoofers in the back and little tweeters up front. The blazing Caucasian is what they used to call me. Not even kidding. The blazing Caucasian was my nickname. Kind of the afro.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I feel that.
It's
I see
thinning.
that.
It's thinning now.
It's thinning,
but
right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so 16, you're like,
so
hey,
16,
I want to play
16.
drums, man. This is what
Yep.
I want to do. You started playing. You take lessons?
Took lessons. So not reading music, more kind of the mentorship, things like that. And started playing out with the band and did that for 4 or 5 years. And then
How old were you when you started out with the band?
18 years old.
So 2 years.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
been playing for 2
Yep.
years, beating around the house
Yep.
there, pissing everybody off at the
Yep.
house because it was loud.
Got out of high school and started in my accounting degree, and then
Good,
the
that's
band
good.
was going to go on tour, and I thought tour sounded
Way better than accounting.
Way better than accounting, so I went on tour and did that for 3-4 years or so.
Nice. All right. So cool. So now, mid-20s, you're obviously got to pay the bills, right?
Yep.
So music is still playing, still doing that thing. Then when did you start? So, little backstory on Lance. He owns a plumbing company.
Backstory, taking it back.
We're going back again.
Back.
That's what we do. We go back. We come forward. We go back. So he owns a plumbing company, iPlumb KC. He
I'm gonna
really
have to pay for
successful.
that tag, aren't I?
It's really successful.
Pay for that spot.
Bills in the mail.
Yeah. It cost you $3,000. No, anyway. So you started. When did you start plumbing? When did you start getting in the business of
So
plumbing?
I started plumbing when I was 16 years old, and
So you're
little older than 16 now. So I've been doing it for about 23 years, and so plumbing was always my, I'll say that help pay the bills through my musical career.
okay. All right.
I got
So
out of
you worked
that
for other
band.
companies and people
Yep.
and all that. So that's how you got you
Yep.
cut your teeth doing that, working for
That's
someone
it.
else. And you said, hey, I don't need to do this for somebody else. I can make more money doing it
Let's
myself.
do it for myself. So
Started
here we are.
iPlumb KC.
Yep, 5.5 years ago.
Met your wife
2009.
before that, right? You met your wife before you
2009.
started. So you were just playing music and plumbing.
Yep.
Plumbing and then
doing
playing
some
music outside.
cover shows and stuff like that around town.
Right.
Kansas City.
And then you meet your wife. Obviously, you outkicked your coverage,
One thing led to another.
and we have 5 kids.
We have 5 kids.
It's in the water over there.
It's something.
It's in the water.
Grain Valley.
Yeah. So,
Grain Valley water.
so you guys now, let's fast forward. You've been playing at church, right? So you start
Yep.
playing at church, but not really out. You're just playing at church, and
Playing at church.
Rob Harmon comes up and is like, "Hey, my buddy needs a drummer. Are you interested? You're like, sure, why not? Sounds like a good time.
Well, so he said, you need a gig. And I said, no, I'm good. I got, a family at home, and I'm done gigged out.
Right.
And so this went on for a couple months, kind of, back and forth. And he's like, well, my buddy needs a drummer. I was like, who's your buddy? And he said, Tate. He was like, okay. How many shows you guys play in a year? Where you play? All those questions. Then that's when I think we ended up meeting up.
Yeah, went had lunch.
And Rob had played for you for
for a long time.
Yeah.
Harmon's one of those guys that you can count on him to kind of do anything. I mean, almost anything. Yep. He's a really super talented guy and a great guy, a dear friend, and so he calls me. He's like, hey, I want you to meet Lance. You guys need to meet. Yep. Yeah, I think he's going to be the guy.
Had a slice of pizza.
Well, we went, what was that, Providence Pizza or whatever it is, in Grandview, and had a piece of pizza. I think you paid for some homeless guy's pizza that day.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. That's right.
He lost his first piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or he sold it.
For some extra cash. Whatever. So we sit down, we talk, had a really good conversation, kind of where I'm at, where you were at in life, and you were like, hey, this fits what I can do. Absolutely. Let's see what happens. Let's just go have fun. That's all it's about for me, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
I know we're not going to get rich doing this. This is, and I would love to get on a bus and go from coast to coast, border to border, and play 150 shows a year. Just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So, it worked out last year. So we started last year. It had a really good run. It was fun,
Oh, yeah.
Some gigs a little more fun than others. But
it's about the hang too. So
absolutely.
I say 24 hours in a day, you hang for 23 of them.
Yep.
And so the best part about being in the band is not necessarily playing music. It's this. It's being on the road, hanging out, and
absolutely.
100%
agree.
Needing that downtime and hangout time in life, time, man time.
Yeah, man time.
Yep.
And even though we have Angie in the band, but she's kind of like our sister.
Don't say one of the guys.
She's kind of one of the guys. I know I shouldn't say that. I'm not politically correct anyway. I don't care.
I don't know how you word that anyway.
So because how she's been around the industry forever and ever, and in bands,
super talented.
And it's crazy talented. So it is like we don't bother her at all. You know what I mean? In fact, sometimes she says some things, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right then. I'm just going to sit over here, But so it is about the hang, and that's what's so cool. Every group that I've ever put together or been in, we all got along. And if because you are with these guys, whether you're doing 20 shows a year
in and day out,
or it is a lot of time.
Yep.
But it is the cool thing about getting away. Like for you have your business, you're busy, you got your wife and kids, and it's like, oh man, that's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
And it is good to, hey, I'm gonna like decompress for a minute, and I'm gonna go beat
the skins
the crap out of this drum kit, and then I'll be good. And then I'm gonna go back and I'll be like, hey guys, I'm home. Let's we'll start again.
But then part of that, I've got one girl and 4 boys, so the kids have seen, I'm texting them pictures of where I'm staying, or the crowd, or the drum set, or whatever. And so we've got a music room above the garage. So when I get home, I go up there and they're beating on drums and playing the piano and banjo. My wife plays all that stuff, so she's super talented too. So
it's when I was a little kid, I got my first drum set when I was 3, 2 or 3, and it was one of those cheap little. Had little paper heads on it and the one cymbal in the middle, and I broke it within the first 30 minutes of having it because because I was playing them. I was actually playing it, and my dad was a drummer, so he was like, I had my little kick drum, and he was like, this is how you use your foot, your right foot. Yeah. That's the backbone of everything. So, and he showed me I'm doing a 2-4 like a shuffle beat. I'm like 3 years old. And I'm shuffling my little drum set in the.
I need to start gunnering on that.
Yeah,
and so,
3.5. But it was something, I think I saw my dad doing it. I wanted to do it,
Yep.
And so it was interesting. Some kids.
Well, it gives you that healthy hobby as you get older. You know, you're not running to.
And I think
other things.
music to me is when I think about like kids starting, and I encourage kids who play music now, who go take piano lessons, guitar lessons, whatever, horn lessons, whatever it is, whatever instrument it is.
Oh yeah.
Do it, and enjoy the process of learning that instrument, but also become your own creator. As far as like when you're playing, you know, you're reading this little chart. Once you figure out how to read charts and music, you're reading this thing and you're like, you know what? I can make my own accent right here. It's not on the paper.
Well, that's the
Feeling.
creativity of it.
It's feeling,
Yeah.
and you feel it after you kind of learn. Obviously, the first, little bit, you're reading exactly, you're playing note for note what's on the chart.
Yeah.
But it's that feeling and that the creative process is so good for kids. I think that's why songwriting. I tell people who play instruments, write songs.
Yep.
Doesn't even matter what it's about.
It's the dedication to something, and then like you were saying, being able to put in your time. You Tate have put in your years, so to speak.
100%.
I tell my guys that at work. It's like every cold job, every hot job, every crawl space, I've done it, and I've done it over and over and over.
Yep.
So you got to put in your time, no matter what you do in life.
Any career, anything, it's time in and that's what makes you good at what you do. It's repetition, right? That's like professional athletes. How many ground balls do you think they take in their from the time they can catch a ball to the time they make it to the big leagues? Millions of ground balls.
That's the difference between motivation and self-discipline. It's the I don't feel like it. Well, you know what? I don't feel like waking up at 4 o'clock and going to work every day either.
Right,
but
absolutely. You got to eat though.
It's your responsibility.
So I always and I encourage these kids. And AJ and I did a acoustic thing at the church for some youth and it was pretty neat to see these kids, how they come from every kind of home life, some good, some really, really poor home lives, right? And they're foster kids.
Oh yeah.
And their parents, some of them just couldn't find their way, and some of them, maybe gone or in prison, or some of them are just drug addicts or whatever. So these kids are shuffled around to foster home until they can either find a home, somebody who will take them in and love them like their own, and teach them. But those kids, we did this little acoustic thing, and I was telling a story about how powerful music is, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I said, just write down your feelings. I said, because I don't know how you feel. I was never been in your position, so I don't know how you feel. So write it down, so somebody like me who has never been in that situation or in that position can figure out, like, oh, okay, that's how he feels.
Yeah.
That's how they feel.
Well, it's almost like you're creating a song for their story. You're understanding what they're feeling or going through.
And it was really neat because a few months later, I get a phone call. You told these boys to write, and they have been. They've been writing it down.
Cool.
And they have little songs.
See, you should take some of those if you get those notes and turn part of it into a song, or like put them together.
Sure. Yeah. I should.
AJ,
actually.
what do you think?
Yeah.
That's AJ right there.
Man.
He's not. Hey, he's not the best color. He's not the best color man in the for nothing.
Oh man.
So anyway, all right, we're out here on the road. We're gonna get home late tonight. You're gonna get home, love on your wife for a second, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow.
2 minutes. Do you have a little bumper for 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Remember Flight of the Conchords? Do you remember that?
What's that?
Remember Flight of the Conchords? Do you have a bumper for 2 minutes? You need a 2 minute bumper. 2 minute. Yeah. Anyway.
So
Anyway.
all right then.
digress.
Well, I tell you what, we're moving right along. That's
moving
Lance
along.
Pollard, everybody. Thanks,
everybody.
Lance. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
one.
give it up.
Good up, Lance.
Give us some applause.
All right.
Who next?
All right, Chris. We got the king.
Yeah, bud.
The king of swing. Oh, it's gonna be hard now. I mean, I'm telling you.
The ace of base.
The ace of base. No, I'm sorry. I should have said the ace of base.
Boy, I bet if I had headphones on, this would sound amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah,
all right, so we got Chris Thompson
bud.
in the house,
Yeah.
in the bus, traveling down the road.
Here we are.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chris, we go back a long time, quite a while.
Yeah.
Been playing music together for
15 years
Yeah,
or so,
yeah.
probably.
So-
I think, yeah.
when
Right.
I can't have anything nice.
Can't record a podcast.
We can't do anything.
Can't.
So
Yeah.
let's go back.
Okay.
You're growing up.
Yeah.
What got you into? Where did it start?
Man.
Was music in the house?
I was listening to Lance answer that question. It was definitely in the house. My earliest memories are my mom and dad. They played in a rock band with family friends of theirs. Pap played the bass and Mom played the piano, and they both sang, and they did the fairs and stuff around Kansas City, man.
Right.
And some of my earliest memories are of them rehearsing that band in our family room.
Isn't that cool?
Growing up in the
So
house I
good.
grew up in. So that was, Wake Me Up Before You Go, that Wham song.
Oh, yeah.
They worked that up. And Doobie Brothers and Eagles and all the stuff that I grew up on, man. So they played in bands.
So you hear this and see
I heard-
this going on, and you're like,
I didn't care. Here's the thing. I didn't care. It was cool, but I
Right.
didn't care. I was out running around on bikes and playing in the yard and
Right,
stuff
right,
like
right.
that. So I could not have cared less. Now, I got into music.
Right.
And Mom had me singing in choirs, and I played in the band because all I wanted to do was play center field for the Kansas City Royals, and that just wasn't going to happen.
Right. Well,
wasn't going to happen.
I get it. I have those
Or first
same-
base. I just want to play baseball. I was terrible at baseball. So Mom got me into the band program, and we found the thing that came easy to me.
What- so what
music
did you
came
start?
easy.
What did you start
That
with?
was I started on saxophone in 5th grade.
Dude, how long did you play saxophone?
1 year, because we had like 14 saxophones, and my music teacher, Mrs. Fankhauser, that was her name.
Wow.
Hand to God, that was her name.
Oh, wow.
Fankhauser.
Fankhauser.
Corinth Elementary. What up?
What
Anyway, she
up?
said, we got too many saxophones. You're going over to trombone. And I said, okay. So I played trombone literally from 6th grade all through high school. Jazz band, concert band, pit orchestra, marching band, all of it. So, but because
Really?
it came easy to me. That was what came easy to me. And so I stayed with it. Sang a little bit, quit singing because I got bashful. But sports were never going to be my thing, and music came easy. So,
Saxophone.
Yeah.
When you say, here's the cool thing about saxophone. There's a few instruments you can play by themselves,
it sounds cool.
and they sound. It
Oh
doesn't
my
matter.
God.
They don't need anything.
And you know what doesn't sound good by itself?
trombone.
Trombone.
Absolutely.
Especially the rusty ones.
Oh, come on.
See, there you got us.
Yeah. So there's that.
Saxophone.
So cool, dude.
When I
Baker Street, man. Dude,
it doesn't.
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
you can just the.
Come on.
Saxophone's probably one of the
So sexy.
sexier.
Oh, dude, all of it.
Yeah.
Nobody
I mean-
can play that on trombone. You can't do it on trombone. It does not work.
Yeah, but you could.
We'll do it
no,
later. Do
no.
it later. Yeah. There you go. You could do the sad trombone. That's fine. Yeah. So that was where I started from, and I didn't even start playing guitar. Never picked up a guitar. My dad played bass for years and years, and I did not care until my best buddy, a drummer on the drum line in high school, had a drum set in his house growing up. He and I were best buds. Met a couple of guys junior year that picked up guitars.
And you're like,
And I was like, I didn't want to get left out. I didn't care about the bass. I didn't care about it. I just didn't want to get left out of hanging out. That was it. And guess what nobody brought over?
a bass guitar.
Nobody brought over a bass
So you
guitar.
said-
Guess what my dad had played in bands growing up my whole life.
So okay. This is cool because you're thinking I don't want to be left out.
That was it.
All my buddies play music. I'm playing music.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go grab my dad's.
Yeah. I'll tell you
bass.
my audition, quote unquote, for the band. I'll give you my audition. My dad's 2x12 Standell bass amplifier with a green screen on the front. It was shoulder tall, huge amplifier in the garage.
Yeah.
And they had a song by a band, so this will date me. But in the mid 90s, there was a band that really nobody heard of called School of Fish. It was like one of those mid 90s bands,
Right.
They had a song. It was called 3 Strange Days. This song had 3 chords, like any good country song.
Perfect.
This song had 3 chords.
Perfect.
I popped the hatch on my Honda CRX that I drove, plugged my dad's bass guitar into the amp right next to the car, started the tape, and I just used my ear that my mom had trained me with.
You could read music growing because
I could read, but I could also hear and pick up. And play. So I literally thumbed around on the bass guitar, found the first note, the chord changed to the next part of the song, found that note, found the third note. Okay, there it is, and around we go for 3 minutes. And he goes, "Dude, do you want to be in the band?" I was like, "Yeah." Because I didn't want to get left out. Yeah. That was it. I just didn't want to. I had no designs on being here 30 years later because I was 16. It's been 30 years since I was 16.
Isn't that fun? Dude, I mean, what a great story.
Yep.
So you started playing the bass, and you're like, well, this ain't too bad.
I can do this. Nobody else wanted to do it. I had a reason not to get left out.
Right.
So we started jamming. So we started learning all those songs in the mid-'90s because that's when I grew up. Graduated in 94 like you did, so we started playing that stuff. You went straight country, though. I did rock bands for about 11 years or so. Until 2006 when I met Dan Weller, who has played with, he's On the Road with Tyler Hubbard right now.
Right, who cares?
With Florida Georgia Line for a while.
Yeah, Tyler.
Anyway, I met him, and he said, "Hey, I got this country guy in 2006. I got this country guy in town. He's going solo. He needs a bass guitar player who can sing a little bit." And he'd come see me play my last rock band. And that guy happened to be Noe Palma, who you've had on the podcast a while back. And so Noe and I started working together in 2006. And then literally, I think it was the first show we played, or the second show, was at the Beaumont Club with Gary Lincoln and his band, Noe and us, and the Outlaw Junkies with Tate Stevens in front. You had just started with that.
That was my first gig with them.
Yeah. And you were just off with Dixie Cadillacs. You just come off the road to raise your family, which you talked about extensively. And we were like, we were off and running.
And slowly.
And slowly, apparently.
I can't wait to listen back to this at 1.75.
At 1.75. Yeah. So, it was my first show with the Outlaw Junkies.
That's the first time I met you, Beaumont Club, Kansas City. Yep.
Yeah, and it was...
And it was probably 2 or 3 years later we started playing together. We just, you know, somebody needed help somewhere.
Like
somebody
2008 or 9, right in there.
9, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I found a calendar recently, where I was talking about earlier today, where I saw that we were at the Nebraska Showcase in 2009.
Yeah.
Probably right around here, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was where we started,
awesome.
and that's how I met AJ, and that's how I met guys like Steve Koken and Darren, and all that all those guys.
It's funny how music... and it doesn't matter, rock music, pop, it doesn't matter. Right. Music is such a big medium for so many things, but the way it brings people together,
it's crazy, man. There's nothing cooler. Nothing cooler.
Like the circle of people that you meet playing music.
That's right.
It's so cool.
Yep.
And like Lance, I'd always knew Lance as
I had no idea the guy could play the drums. Go look up Lance on Spotify and streaming. Lance has a record out, sings his ass off.
Yeah.
Go listen to Lance's music, man. It's amazing.
That's right. That's another.
And Josh Gleave put that record together. Absolutely, man. So Lance has got a record out, but I go up to your rehearsal and Lance is playing drums and going, dude, did you know Lance could play the drums?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, so that's how I knew Lance as a artist in town. And I'm like...
correct. Yeah, exactly.
So when Rob's like, I got your guy, Lance Pollard, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Man,
no, he's not.
He's a singer.
Does he play drums?
Yeah. The singer guy?
Yeah. So it's like, the blazing Caucasian. That's him. He was crazy.
But as a bass player,
yeah, absolutely.
That'll be the show. As a bass player, you're listening for that indefinable thing that you can lock into, because I'm here to tell you that's the engine that drives the whole band.
Right foot.
If I can get on Lance's right foot with my right hand, we're gonna be fine. And from the first showcase we did, that was my first show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was a showcase with him, and I was just like, oh no, we're gonna be fine. Yeah, we're gonna be just fine.
Again, like I said, it just goes to show that there's so many. Man. Yeah, you just never know. But there's so many ways that people get connected, and through music. And it's just...
It's the coolest, man. It's absolutely the coolest. And so I've gotten a chance with my recent life change, which we don't need to get into, but I've gotten a chance to go out more and see more local bands. And because when we're all out, it's hard. It's the hardest thing in the world
to go see
out
somebody,
and support somebody, because we're working.
Absolutely,
we're working the same nights everybody else is working.
Yeah.
So
it's funny.
It's the best to be able to go out. And
2012, right? I'm on the show.
2012. That's right.
2013, I'm putting a band together.
You called me. Yep. You called me.
I'm like, dude.
Here's what we're doing.
Brother man, let's go.
And I had to say no.
And he was like, man, I got a real job.
Have always had one of those. But I also had, in 2013, I also had a 7-year-old.
Yeah. No.
So
But I reached out. I'm like, I know guys who I trust,
Right.
For me, so as a singer, as a front man, as a singer, I got to have guys around me that make me look amazing.
Look good, sound
and
good. Stay out of the way, give you a chance to perform.
Yeah. So
And only charge you $50 a night.
yeah.
you guys got $50? What?
We got paid for this.
Oh my God.
This is stupid.
We're going to have to talk offline about that.
Yeah. So, but for me, and some artists probably don't care. They don't, they'll throw anybody in, just rotate. Who cares?
Yeah. That's not your gig.
I can't.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, it's like I would rather not do the show.
Yeah.
Than
be an island out there, not be able to interact and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you not be able to do that. Yeah.
And especially if I'm not sure about a bass player or a guitar player or a piano, whatever.
Sure.
I'm like, it's just miserable for me, right? I'd rather poke out my eyes.
Well, and what Lance said it earlier. Lance said it earlier. It's the hang, but it's the hang off stage, but it's also the hang on stage.
There's got to be a little bit of chemistry on stage where if I look at somebody and I'm like, whether it's AJ playing a solo, and I'm like, okay, and I just want you to mess up. Just a little. Just one of those like that, just so I can
so we can just catch eyes with the other guy and go, no, I heard that. No, you're not getting away with that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. I don't care. You can hear any.
Yeah.
I mess up more than anybody, and I'm the first to admit it. I'm the worst, but so. It is right. The hang on stage, off stage, it's everything about it that makes it fun. And we're not getting rich. Like I said, we're not getting rich doing this, but it's something we love to do.
Yeah.
And sure, sometimes it sucks. I'm be 100% honest.
There are
sometimes you're just like, what am I doing?
Speaking of the hang, though, do we ever talk about, when we're talking about things, do we ever talk about the ones that went well?
No.
We never tell those stories.
Remember that was a great show? That's it.
That's it.
It's never like, do you remember that one time? We all slept in the same room because there were 7 beds and the green shag carpet was like 4 inches thick.
Remember when the van broke down, or whatever.
Yeah, so that's what you talk about because that's what you remember.
Yeah.
Those are the things that come right to mind when you're like, oh, remember that time so-and-so did this or saw this or whatever.
That tells you a lot about the hang, too. You learn a lot about guys when you're in those moments and you're like, okay, are we going to get through this or are we going to start, turning in on each other? And so when you can put a smile on your face, plow through it, get home and say, man, it's going to be a great story.
I like, and going back to, for me, having a group of guys, and Angie.
She's in with the guys. She's in with the guys.
She is one of the guys.
Yeah.
And Angie. It means like, to me, it's like, just like today, this afternoon. Right. We knew the songs, right? Because we played them before, but we ran over them twice. Just to, hey, right, we're good. Yeah, okay.
Make sure we got the.
You know what I mean? We go up there, and it's like, okay, I didn't have to worry about anything.
Nothing, right.
As soon as the downbeat went,
just perform.
I just did my thing,
that's right.
and for me, I can't ask for better than that. As far as
your audience will know it. Your audience can see it.
100%. If you're not having fun, they're not going to have fun.
Right. If you're distracted, so are they.
And you can't. People see through
all the pretense.
They see through
all of it.
The fake stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, Anyway, I'm 100% on board with having great guys around you, and not no pretentious, no.
Nobody's got an attitude. Nobody's bringing any baggage with them. Nobody's
because everybody has bad days.
Sure.
Everybody has stuff going on.
No audience cares.
No audience cares.
No audience cares about that.
They don't need to know that, you don't have one sock on because you forgot it because you're an idiot. No one needs to know that. I'm not speaking on I'm not saying I did that, but anyway, whatever. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know anything about that. But, you know what I mean? So no one... They don't know, don't care. Yeah. They just want to come, have fun, party, whatever.
Yep.
And expect to have a good show.
Well, from the musician side, too, when you're on autopilot and you're not thinking about the show, you're not thinking about the notes, you're just performing, then that allows you to bring it up to the spot where you can't, it's just a It's just a wave that you get to ride.
Yeah.
And sometimes that wave is clear down here and you're just mucking through it, or sometimes that wave is way up there and you're like, holy smokes, I wish the show would never end.
We had a couple last year that when we showed up, I thought, okay, it could, it could have been worse, just getting there or whatever.
Sure.
Then as the day progressed with sound checks and the lack of this and the not professional stuff, and it really got me.
Yep.
This year was the first year I think that I kind of lost a little bit of, I kind of lost my cool there. You know what I mean? Like
a little more vocal about those
I was a little
moments?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, because usually I just kind of bite my lip.
Plow through it.
Who cares?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just going to do what I do.
Right.
But if for whatever reason this year, a couple of them got me, and when I got home, I wasn't right about it.
Really?
And yeah, my wife's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like,
really? Wow.
I got to figure this out.
Brought some of that home, huh?
I'm like, "Hey, I got to figure this out."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So my wife is like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Who cares what you do, right? Just don't bother me, will you?"
Over there.
Yeah, just do whatever you're doing and just keep quiet, would you?
It's fine.
Stay on your mat. And so,
Don't make a mess.
Don't make a mess. Jeez. And unload the dishwasher while you're there, would you?
Yeah.
So anyway, and it really bothered me. And I told her, I said, "Hey, I can't. I don't know if that was how it's going to be.
Right.
I don't know if I can do that."
Yeah, sure.
So she was like, "Okay, first think about why you do what you do."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Right.
Yeah.
I get it." And
Yep.
she said, "So you're telling me that 2 shows
Are going to ruin the whole...
are going to ruin that whole thing?"
That's a great perspective, man, for sure.
She's like, "If that's the case, then you should shut it down.
Yeah.
Take
Yep.
2 weeks off and quit.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to
2
get any
shows
better.
Again, yeah.
And
Well,
so,
this,
because it's just everything's going to be down here.
That's the thing about two things I always heard people say. If from a musician's perspective, is if there is anything you could think of doing besides this, you should go do it.
You should go do it.
You should go do it.
Yeah, stop
If there's
doing this
anything.
and go do
Because
that.
the other thing is this job has always kept me humble. From the highest highs, you could play the most amazing show. We did a couple of festivals last year with some artists I got a chance to play with. It was amazing. And you just look sea of people. And then you come home and you play to 10 people.
Yeah, and you're like,
at the
What happened?
Colby,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
God love Colby. We loved them. They were the best folks. But
Yeah, absolutely.
it was what it was. And you're just like, oh, okay. You got to love it through that stuff.
100%.
And that stuff never stops.
I was talking with another artist, Heath Wright from Ricochet, which we did several shows with last year. We were talking just a few days ago about this very thing.
Right.
And he was like, you have to go in. And I've always known this. My dad said it too years ago when I first got into singing and wanting to be an entertainer and all that stuff. My dad said, listen, it doesn't matter if there's 10 or 10,000. They get the same show.
That's right.
You can alter it a little bit for those 10 or 10,000, but it's the same show. They get the same energy. They get the same.
Right. That's right.
You work your ass off, whether there's 10 or 10,000.
They've given their time to be there.
Yeah, they've wasted their time
That's
just
right.
as much as you had at that point, right?
You might as well entertain them.
Might as well entertain them.
Yeah.
Or they spent their money
Right.
to be there.
Yeah.
So make it worth their time.
Yep.
So Heath Wright and I are talking, and he said that same. He was like, man, we've all been playing at sold out arenas.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, you go to a fair or a nightclub,
Right.
and you get there and you're like, wow, there's
Just-
30
yeah.
people here.
Yep.
The band and crew are almost as many as the
That's right.
and
Yeah.
he said, it's tough.
Yeah.
It is so hard, but hey, you do what you do and you smile and you smile and wave, boys, smile and wave.
I can outdo
right?
that. In my early cover band days, I remember a couple of times going to venues where there was no one left. They said, hey, fellas, you can stop. There's no one here.
Yeah.
And they sent us home.
Yeah,
Because there's
and
nobody. There's just like, you have to, even through the, I remember those nights.
yeah.
But it's like, no, I'm going to keep playing.
And
I love it too
sometimes,
much.
now the older I get, so when I started on the road at 19, it's me against the world, right?
Right, sure.
I'm going to show everybody how
You
great.
got a lot to prove, man.
Here I am, check me out, right? That's my whole
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
Yep.
And it was so humbling so fast.
Right.
going to play nightclubs, play fairs and festivals, doing big opening acts where there's thousands of people.
Yeah.
We did one show, I can't remember where we were at, with 40,000 people.
Wow.
And I'm like 20 years old,
That's
and I'm
amazing.
thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it'll be like this forever and ever, won't it?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
You know, and look, Mom, look what I'm doing,
Yeah,
that kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah,
and then, the next week we were in Minot, North Dakota for 7 days.
Wow.
A whole week playing
Just
for
doing
a whole week, 5 hours a night.
Doing a house thing, yeah.
And then on Sunday we had a jam. So you get all the locals would come out.
Oh, wow.
And if they didn't bring their guitar, guess what? They played yours.
Played yours, sure.
Yeah. And it's like, what this is terrible. But, so all through that,
Right.
I've kind of kept that mentality, like, you just do what you do.
Yeah.
And on the bad ones and on the ones that you're like, oh my God, you're struggling to get through.
Sure.
Because I don't care if there's 10,000 people. Sometimes you're just struggling. And it's just one of those
you don't
times.
sleep well before a 4 o'clock, bus
whatever.
call or whatever. It's just like, ugh.
And you're like, oh man. But you motor through it.
Yeah.
You trudge through it best you can. And then some of those shows you look at was like, it's kind of almost like a paid rehearsal.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I can't tell you how many we had of those. Sure.
You're like, wow.
But that was kind of how I would get myself mentally through it. Hey, man, we're getting a chance to run these songs.
Yep.
I'm getting paid to do it. That's fine. I'm playing my guitar. And I always kind of a scarcity mentality where it's just like, regardless of how many people are in front of me, regardless of all that kind of stuff, there are 100 players out there, all of which are probably better than I am, who would absolutely kill to be standing right here, right now, in front of 30 people, 300 people, 3,000 people.
You are correct.
So I'm like, no. This is an absolute privilege. I get to do this, and I can't imagine not doing it. And that's just kind of that's and one of these days, the joke is it'll become more labor than it is love.
Yeah.
Right. But I am nowhere near.
We'll be playing the VFW halls.
Yeah,
Moose Lodges and VFW halls.
yeah, that's right.
Man.
And the Elks Lodge, all that. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure, man. But I don't know what else I would do. But I love it. I just love it.
All right, dude. That's y'all. Give it up, Chris Thompson.
Thanks, Tater.
Yeah,
Coming to you live from rural Nebraska. I'm not even really sure where we are.
With his radio voice.
You know what I mean? Let me turn that on for a second before I turn over the microphone to AJ.
Oh, my goodness. So, as you can see, that this is, we're all sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Right? We're all
Yes.
sleep deprived. And Chris ate all the Twinkies on the bus. And
So I'm sitting there. Never mind. Pounding those ding dongs a while ago.
The best, man.
Holy smoke.
The worst. Think what you want to think about that. I just caught up with that.
yeah, he was like, whoa. Wait a minute.
The hostess thing.
The chocolate look like hockey pucks. That's the ones. Those are so delicious. Sweet, delicious hockey pucks. Oh. All right. Well, let's get the other guy up here. Let's get old. Huh? What are you doing? What are you talking about? Get up here. We got Darren Tapscott up here. Yeah, Darren, get up to Darren. Whoa. All right, sit down and take the microphone. It's going to be short.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, well.
Here you go, man. How you doing, AJ?
All right. All right. Darren Tapscott.
Mr. Tate Stevens.
This is, here's the thing. We've been playing together for a long time. And met back in high school, I was in high school, so you were in high school.
Right.
Doing the little Opry shows.
Yes.
And always, man, always knew, like, man, this guy could just absolutely saw away on this fiddle, man. This is cool. And always had the utmost, like, respect. And I'm like, I was like, admired how you played the fiddle. I'm like, man, this guy, a kid my age. And I'm like, dude, this guy is amazing. And probably not then. I don't know. I just probably didn't know what I was listening to. But
Probably, yeah. I don't think you did.
No, but it was cool, man. So then later, several years later, joined this band, the Outlaw Junkie Band.
Yep. Yes.
And man, at one point we were like almost 8 pieces or something like that.
Yeah.
We were 7 anyway. But we had
played
this,
near, I think, nearly 100 county fairs that one summer.
Oh my
together.
God, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was so good. But what made so I know music was in your house. I know, you know, that was, you grew up doing it and loving it. But the fiddle, why did you say, I want to play that thing?
Well, I actually started in the 4th grade. I had some students that came around the class and played and walked around, and I just decided I'd give that a try. And I got an orchestra and got in there the first year, you know, a whole lot of that scale stuff, and finally decided this wasn't for me. And my parents said, you know what, we already bought you a violin, and you're going to play for a couple of years.
Right.
And so then I started realizing, you know, all my friends were playing football and getting into sports. Well, the longer I stayed in orchestra, I realized I was the only guy in there. I was in a room full of girls. I thought, this isn't a bad gig.
Spoken like a true musician.
Yeah.
This ain't a bad gig.
You mean I can be around girls all day?
Yep. So then by the time my parents told me if I played up through 7th grade,
right,
and I still didn't want to play anymore, I could quit.
Then you could go.
When I got in 7th grade, I joined a bluegrass band, the Blue and Gray Pickers, and I ended up playing with them for almost 25 years.
So in that band, was your cousin in that band?
No, not at the time. He was.
But
later
he was
on.
later on.
Yes.
So, why bluegrass? Was it just kind of a natural transition?
I think my music teacher, Marie Maxwell. You know, I played in orchestra. I really couldn't play the part well. I could read music, but I really couldn't play it well until I heard what the person next to me played. You know, so I played a lot more by ear.
Right.
And her husband happened to be the harmonica player in this bluegrass band. So when I was in 7th grade, she took me down to practice, and I sat in with them for a year.
Just kind of.
And recorded all on my cassette tapes.
Yeah.
You know, go home and work on them. And
yeah.
AJ, you probably don't know what a cassette tape looks like.
Oh, come on.
Was that your first band when you joined the Blue and Gray Pickers? Was that the first
Yeah,
band,
that was the first real band.
Besides school stuff.
That's probably the first real band.
So
I played
you go
in,
out first time out. What was the first gig like? When you go out and you're like, oh,
it was actually the first gig I played with them was a Silver Dollar City. We played for 10 days straight.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're just like, uh-oh.
Yeah. It was very exciting to play with them guys.
Yeah.
But I had played a few bands around town when I was 13 and 14, and you know, played some little country, some little bars around town, you know, and we'd play for tips only, and I'd leave there with like $28 in ones. You know, I thought I was as rich as could be. You know, I'm like,
check me
who
out.
would ever quit doing this?
Yeah. You know? Why would I ever want to do anything else?
I know. I'm almost rich.
I'm almost rich. I got $28. I can fill my gas tank up and go to the movie.
I know. Yeah.
Well, so after high school, what happened after high school? Obviously, you're not playing music full time at this point, right?
Well, I was kind of on that path. I went to South Plains College down in Texas,
right.
And
was that in Amarillo?
That's out in Levelland,
Levelland,
just west of Lubbock.
Oh, that's right, Lubbock. That's right.
And I was taking, you know, private fiddle lessons and private banjo lessons and guitar lessons out there. And
is that where Oldham went to college?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, nice.
So, came back from there and just decided I was going to go on and be a music major. So I spent almost 4 years just about getting my degree in music, had 1 semester left, and I was playing with a little 4-piece band called Savage Country, and they said, well, what are you going to do with your music career?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really want to be a conductor.
Right.
I really just kind of wanted to travel out and play and hang out with other guys that had the same passion I did.
Right.
And then I started realizing, well, that may not pay the bills the way I want it to. So I actually, at that point, I switched and went into a computer degree at that time.
So you're in your 20s at this point,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Before you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And then like most smart people are like, yeah, you know what, I better figure something out, better have a plan,
right,
to pay my bills, and then make sure I can go do that. That helps me do what I love to do.
Right. Well, the nice thing, I mean, it actually, I played at the Opry shows every weekend, much like you did, Tate.
Yep.
And that, took me 8 years to get through college, but that's what I used to pay for it, So.
And a lot of people start in those little Opry. I know AJ. AJ, playing bass and at the Opry and all that, and then got playing guitar and stuff like that too.
Yep.
and I know the experience that I had at the Opry's, it was always good.
Yes.
Even when it wasn't great, it was always good because those people loved coming there every week.
Right.
And if you sang the song that they wanted you to sing, or you played the song they wanted to hear, they let you know. They were like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that song," whatever. And it's like, wow.
Well,
that's kind of where I realized, like, music's awesome, right? I mean, I always
to me, it was more about the challenge. See, you would come and you would have your songs that you had ready to sing. Well, we all had an hour
to learn them,
to learn not only your songs but the other two guests. That were on the show. And
which makes you a better player at the end of the day when you can do that and consistently and be consistent at.
Well, really, I mean, music
that.
to me is about the challenge. If it was easy, it wouldn't be any fun. It's just like anything that's rewarding.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. I mean, every time I step on stage, it's a challenge for me to.
Me too.
You just get to whatever happens, and I'm like, oh boy, at least it was somewhat good this evening. But
I do remember one show we were doing in Independence one time where you jumped off the front of the stage.
Oh.
You remember that, Tate?
Oh my God. Well, there was one.
You almost did a face plant.
Oh, yeah. There, that one, and then we did the Missouri Showcase one time, and I stepped off the front of the stage, and I thought I broke both my feet.
That's the one I'm remembering.
Yeah.
You told me about, yeah.
Oh my God. And oh my God, it was terrible. I just stepped off, bam, both heels of my boots hit first, and it's like a 5.5 foot drop. And it's dark out there. You don't really see, and it's abrupt stop, bang, and I thought that's it. Both my feet are broke. I can't move. So I'm still singing. I got the microphone. And I'm singing. And I'm walking on my toes. I couldn't let my heels hit the ground because it was so excruciating. And I finished the song, and I have to run back up on stage, and like whatever. And I do it, and I walk over to the side of the stage. And I sit down, and I can feel my feet swelling up in my boots like they were gonna pop, and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Yeah, that's why I stopped doing the whole stepping off the stage and doing all that stuff.
I used to do the whole hang upside down.
I remember.
And then I got a little bit of a belly on me. It got harder to do that stuff. Used to play upside down.
Oh yeah,
the shirt comes up.
Yeah, shirt comes. You're like,
now just getting off the floor.
Oh yeah, you can't even. Yeah, I mean, you can play it that way, but somebody's gonna have to help you up, hold your fiddle,
that's
and
right.
take your. So, I'm in Nashville. This is no lie. Swear to God. I'm in Nashville putting the band together, right? And Jeremy Warden, who played bass for us, was on the road.
Yeah.
Kansas City guy, and so I already knew Jeremy. And I knew he was a great bass player. So I'm like, hey, I called Chris, and I'm like, Chris, I want you to play. Can't do it. All right. Jeremy, you're in. Again, it's comfort for me. I got to know what's going on, right? And I have to have that confidence. So I meet Mike Rogers, and Mikey became our band leader. One of the most talented people I've ever met in my life.
Absolutely.
And one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet, right?
He's okay.
He's all right. I mean, I guess if you had to play with a guy like that, I mean, no. So I knew I was like, so bass, drums, and keys are covered. I need a guitar player. So we searched. Had a lot of great guys audition for the band. Fiddle players. I'm like, I want a fiddle, in the band. So,
of course,
had a bunch. Of course it is. Best instrument on the planet. Duh. You really don't have a choice, right? You don't really have a choice, and so you kind of got to go. And so then I had my fiddle player, and I'm like, now we were looking for a guitar player. Auditioned all these guys, and no one was sticking out. I mean, some of these guys were great, but no one was sticking out. So I was in the studio singing whatever song we were recording at that point for the album. Colt comes in, and I remember Blake saying, "Colt, he's a big guy. He's just a big guy, right?" And I'm thinking, oh, okay, whatever, right? I'm not. Then Colt walks in to the studio. And I'm like, oh my God, this man's a giant. He's not just big, he's a giant. So I booked these dates to rehearse at Sound Image in Nashville.
Yep.
Because we're getting ready to go. Here we go. We're getting ready to start.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, we get to town. Everybody gets to town. We're all in Sound Image. Well, Colt's late. to get into rehearsal, right?
Right.
Because he just got off a bus and he was, we kind of knew he was going to be a little late. So he comes running in, right, with his stuff, and it's just a Telecaster and a Fender Twin, and he just sets it up real quick. And I mean, I think he had 2 pedals, like a tuner and a distortion pedal or something.
Right.
That was it. And he's like, sorry guys, sorry. And Colt gets his stuff set up, and he's kind of frantic a little bit. And he's like, all right, how's this one go?
Right. Yeah,
What key's this one in? And I'm like, we have 3 days of rehearsal, and we leave, right? That first rehearsal, and Colt, I mean, it was.
I think we were all a little hesitant.
So we were like, I was looking around. We take a break, right? We've been rehearsing for about 45 minutes or an hour or so, and we take a break. Everybody's like, let's go get a drink, get some lunch or whatever. I remember Mikey comes behind the drums, and we're all kind of standing there. And Colt's, I don't know what he was doing. He was on the phone or something. And he was like, man, Tate, I don't know about it. And I'm like, we're all sitting there. I'm like, Darren's like, I don't know, man. I don't, and I'm like, I'm scared.
We figured it out, though.
The next day, remember it was the next, this guy he didn't hardly know the material the first day. All right, tomorrow's, you got like 8 hours, 10 hours until the next rehearsal. Next rehearsal comes in, he brings his wife and kids. He's like, hey, this is who I'm playing with. This is my wife, Shelly, and our kids, whatever. Meet all them, great. So we start rehearsing. Last thing I do, he turns around, looks at Mike. Mike counts it off, and he starts playing. And I'm like, So now it is night and day. Like he learned all the songs overnight.
Right.
It was weird. And then we had one more rehearsal. Come in that third rehearsal, and from that rehearsal we were leaving, like loading the stuff in the trailer, and the bus was taking off coming to Kansas City. Just killed it. It's like we'd been playing the music for years. It was amazing. That's when I knew, I'm like, you know what? I got the right guys in the right spot. This is going to be really, really good. Come to Kansas City, 2 sold-out shows at the Midland. We're on fire, right? I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. We start doing this thing, and it was comforting. And like I said, this is why I got to have guys around me that I know or trust, because all I had to do was be me. You know what I mean? I didn't have to worry about the cues for a song, they were there. I didn't have to worry, right? And that's huge for me. Cues and little things like that, and because I miss them, like today in Baton Rouge, right? We did call in Baton Rouge, and I'll let her go around one more time. I'll sing the chorus whenever I feel it, right?
You don't miss a whole lot of cues, Tate. I know that. Tate's got good players around him because he fits right in.
Yeah.
We know that. We all know that.
He likes the cues.
Doesn't miss many barbecues.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. See?
Hang on, where's my thingy here? Applause.
All right, good.
That's good.
You got me. You got me on that one. You got me on that one, AJ.
I'll take that one.
The barbecue, right? No, but anyway, but it is that it's comforting, and especially, and I'm sure most frontmen or singers feel the same way. When you don't have to pay attention to really, you just have to focus on what you got to do,
right?
Because everything else is done right, and that's the cool thing about having Darren and there's so many stories. We have so many stories from being out and shows and whatnot. But remember, we're doing the Peanut Festival in was it Virginia or somewhere, for huge festival. We're under this giant. It's pouring down rain. And so they have these wedges out, right? Well, we're not now. We've been having our own ear rig and the whole thing, our monitors. So we had these talkback mics, right? So people can on the stage, I could walk back and say, hey, let's cut this song, let's just skip to this song. Or a band member could walk back and go, hey, blah, blah, blah. and say something, we could hear it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we were on wedges.
Yeah, I think
Jeremy.
you forgot that, didn't you?
And Jeremy, no, it was Jeremy.
Oh.
Jeremy, and this. I shouldn't have said that because if they ever listen to this, they'll be mad. He goes over to the talkback mic, and this woman is in the front row, and she's got a white T-shirt on, and you can see through it. I mean, 100% because she's soaking wet, just standing there in the rain. And he was like, look at the lady in the front with the giant boobs. and I got wedges out front, and they're standing right there. And she's like, she's staring at me, and I'm like, we lock eyes. Her and I lock eyes. And
Well,
like,
you locked something.
Yeah, and I'm like, I spun around. No, I spin around. And then Jeremy realizes, oh no. That everybody heard that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on stage, loud, and everybody's monitoring. So he just backs up, stands up, back by Mike, and Mike's, playing drum. Oh my God. And for the rest of the show, I just couldn't. I had to look over everybody's heads because I was not looking down again because she was just standing there staring like daggers. Now you got your roofing company.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get into that? Was that just something like...
I've always had a kind of a passion for remodeling and fixing up houses.
Well,
kind of always did that on the side anyway.
Right. You've done that to 2 or 3 of your own, right?
Yeah. And then my dad and brother were both insurance adjusters, so I went and got my license to become an insurance adjuster. And I was going to work catastrophic, like hurricanes and so forth. Well, while I was waiting for a hurricane to come along, we had a big giant hailstorm in Kansas City back in 2010.
Yep.
And so I was going to go do that temporarily until
Right.
my gig came along, to go work hurricanes, and I just ended up staying there, liked it.
Yeah.
So
not with the same company, obviously.
no, but in 2012, started my own company, Morton Roofing.
Now
Yep.
it's you and
My business partner, Ryan Morton.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
And what did you just knew he was he in the roofing industry?
Yeah,
anyway?
we worked together there, and we'd know each other since we were little kids.
Okay.
Been friends for years.
So that's how you're just like, hey, let's go do this thing.
Yeah.
We can make some
Yep.
money.
Yep.
And it's doing well, right? You
Yeah,
guys are doing great.
Done real well.
Yeah.
Real well.
That's awesome.
It allows me to kind of make my own schedule and still get to go out and play gigs. And
Right. What is that, salt and sand truck?
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, we know we're safe now.
That's
Just follow
right.
this dude.
Heard that. We
Yep,
may
just-
not get home till a couple days.
Yeah,
but
but
only
we'll be
doing
all right.
35 mile an hour.
Yeah, but
Big ups to Big Kenny.
yeah,
There you go.
big old Ken up there.
Ken Smoother.
blast around them, Ken.
Get around him.
Photography.
So anyway, well, I think this is a good one, dude.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I think this may be the best show we've ever done
Could be
in the history of podcasts.
in the history of podcasts. This
Ever.
is one of the best
Since the
ever.
last podcast.
Chris, what do you think? Is this a 1.5 or a 1?
He's got
Chris, what do you got? He's got his headphones in.
All right.
He can't hear. Lance is asleep.
He's probably already getting ready to listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's waiting on it. He's waiting on it to be downloaded.
He's dialing it up to 1.75.
Yeah, right
speed.
now. So, well, that was Darren.
All right, Tater.
Scott,
Well,
everybody.
let's keep playing some good music for a lot of years. What do you say?
I'm in.
All right.
I'm
Good. All right.
I'm up. Yeah, he can't play in July though, so it's okay. Yeah. Everything but July for him.
For AJ.
Oh, God.
Yep, that's what you get,
All right.
dude. So
Thank you,
mad.
guys.
Oh. So Darren Tapscott, that's Darren. Yeah, give it up there. Woo! Okay.
That's right.
It's too loud.
Turn that down. Turn that fader down. It's too loud.
So, of all our podcast shows that we've done so far, well, we're on like 60, right?
Almost. I
58?
think this is like 57, 58,
50,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So almost 60 podcasts down. And we've had some good guests on, Mike
Yeah.
Rogers, Jimmy Fortune. We've had
Absolutely.
some good people on, and we're going to continue to get good people on and have
Yeah.
stuff. But this is just like what we do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't talk about, how'd you get going? But we just talk and have fun, and that's kind of how we do it on the road. And when we go do shows and stuff, it's that hangout. Man, let's just hang out and go play. Let's go do what we do. And
I am what I am,
yeah,
and I do what I
and
do.
I do what I do. Too bad you don't have that.
I know.
So,
did you happen to see tonight the the guy that came up to me and
Dee Snider's sister? No, I saw her.
No, the dude, he came up to me. He's like, "Man, can you play God's chord?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "You know it when you play it, God's chord, the Lord's chord." And I'm like, "The Lord's chord, like guitar chord?" He's like, "Yeah, play me a G sus."
I'm done. I quit.
Dad jokes! Dad jokes! Dad jokes!
Jesus.
Jesus. For all you non-musical, that's G suspended chord. Jesus.
Yeah,
for
that's
short.
For sure.
Oh,
Man,
so
that was a good one. That was a good one. You got me on that one. You got me on that one. I wasn't ready for it. I thought you were telling a real story.
Nope.
And I should have known right up. Because I was thinking, I'm like, what chord would that be? Right? I'm thinking, like, what? A, what's A? No, that wouldn't be anything. No. D, no, that'd be the devil chord, right?
Yeah,
D,
right.
whatever.
D, yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't
D
know.
minor.
Yeah, D minor. It's the saddest of all keys.
The devil chord.
Wasn't it D minor? Was it D minor? It was the saddest of all keys.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I think that was a good one, man.
Yeah,
I think we're
absolutely.
good. So make sure, guys, hey, thanks for hanging out and listening to it this evening on the way back from Nebraska. Might be a little louder than normal with the road noise or something, but
and this is legitimate road noise.
Yeah, a legitimate
this
road
is us,
noise. The squeaking the bus.
Hauling down the highway. What are we going to do now after we get done with this podcast? Go play some hide and seek or what?
I'll be behind the couch. So, all right. We got to turn it off now because now it's going to be bad. Anyway, make sure you follow us on all our social medias, make sure platforms, and share with your friends. Even if they don't listen to podcasts, who cares? Just share it with them. Let them share it with their friends and stuff. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have anything you want us to talk about or anything like that, and we'll try to get going on it.
Yeah.
So.
And if you want to hear us do a top 10 list of any kind, throw us a comment or something. Just say, hey, give us a top 10.
Or if you see one of us somewhere in town, just say, hey, man, what about a cool top 10 about this?
Yeah, top 10 Steven Seagal flicks.
Yes.
Yeah,
why are they beating him up so bad in the media right now?
He deserves it. He's
I guess
horrible.
he's just an ass. But anyway.
There we go. Top 10 jerk actors.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Want to ask a question for a future episode? Well, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter with #SweetLifePodcast. And be sure to give us a 5-star rating and hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay up to date on the latest news and information for the Sweet Life Podcast. And we'll see you next time.